I'm joining the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. Will you join it with me too? Greetings, royalty. My name is Olivia and welcome back to my realm. I am excited to finally announce that I am joining the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, created by Stephanie at QWERTY on YouTube at QWORDY. The initials for the challenge are HRCYED, which is hell on earth for a dyslexic to remember like me, and the challenge is typically referred to as HRCYED. So yeah, I'm just super excited to finally say that I am joining HRCYED. What is HRCYED? I am going to explain a little bit in this video, but not get too in depth. Stephanie has an amazing announcement video where she goes over everything you could imagine about HRCYED 2.0, because yes, this is the second iteration of the challenge. And she has live streams, a website that you can go to, and many other challenge participants have done in-depth videos as well about the prompts, the rules, and all that good stuff. But I'm just going to link that down in the description and really just give you an overview of 3 things from my announcement video. And those things are my reading journal for the challenge, aka how I'm tracking the books that I'm reading. 2, what have I read so far, so you get a taste of some of the prompts and see if you're interested in joining as well, or maybe scared off from doing it because it is truly the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And then finally, my TBR book, the next book I'm going to read in July for the challenge. And with all that said, let's get started. Now, before I get into tracking and more about HRCYED in general, I do want to give a shout out to Sarah at Freshly Read Books. Her video discussing HRCYED 1 went viral, I guess, in the bookish space. I feel like me and thousands of other readers were introduced to HRCYED from her video, and from there followed the breadcrumbs to QWERTY's channel and figured out that Stephanie had been running this for a year and there was a 2.0 coming out. Now, the challenge officially starts on Stephanie's birthday every year. So far, it might change for the 3rd iteration, and that is July 7th, running through July 6th of the next year. And while that's the official start date, many participants like I have adapted it to start on July 1st, ending on June 30th of the next year. So my challenge will be from July 1st, 2025. Yes, I've already started, and you should too if you join the challenge, since it's already the official start date. And then I'm ending the challenge on June 30th, 2026, so I don't have more time than other participants to finish. And let me tell you, if you don't double up and use some of the tricks and hacks that QWERTY has given to us to save us, even though we've joined this insane challenge, you are looking at reading roughly 200 books, give or take how you do some of the challenges. If you just read books for each prompt, straight, no double ups, etc. And let me just tell you, I am a voracious reader. I am 30 books off-ish from hitting 100 books this year, and there is no way on this planet that I'm not using every hack imaginable, including starting a little earlier, because starting on July 7th, I wouldn't have been able to read as many books as I've already read for the challenge, given that I was on vacation at that time, and now I'm back at work, back to hustling, and finally getting very close to finishing all the stuff that has been plaguing me for a year, like Kickstarters and all this other stuff. So now, with that said, let's actually get into the reading journal portion of this video. Now, if you have been subscribed to this channel for a while, in the beginning of the year, where I did the unboxing of this Quirky Cup Collective reading journal, like many of the other royal subscribers. Now, if you didn't see that video, I've linked it down below. And if you're a distinguished guest, hello, come join our noble ranks so we can yap about books some more, because we started this channel with 7 subscribers, most of them being my own family, and now we're over 100. I cannot believe this. But we're not going to talk about subscribers right now. We're talking about this reading journal, which, if you remember from that video, I was not supposed to open, well, crack open as in use, until 2028. Because I'm currently using the Sugar and Spice journal as my main reading journal, and it is a 3-year reading journal, meaning that unless I just read 300 books in a year or something like really, really wild like that, I will be using that journal until 2028. And so I had no plans to open this journal and use it as my everyday or every month really for a long time until I joined HRCYED. And the reason why I decided to use this as a HRCYED exclusive journal is because, well, the challenge starts in the middle of the year, which is already kind of awkward since I've done so much to that journal already. And two, it's kind of like memorabilia because if you didn't know, Crimson edition of this reading journal is going out of stock permanently. I saw on Quirky Cup Collective's Instagram page that they are no longer going to reprint this. I believe because they're issuing new colors of the old design pretty soon. So if you like this journal, please go grab it. If you're in the US, I'm sorry to you as well for the tariffs that are going on. I'm hoping to grab their new reading journal since I've used this now for when I finish with Sugar and Spice. And man, I'm not looking forward to that bill. So in a vlog that I will post at some point on my channel, I actually showed you how I set this journal up. And it's kind of funny. Someone did point out on my older video that I didn't technically really set up my journals because these are pre-filled out. And so I'm not really sure what the best term for a pre-filled out journal is other than saying I set it up. So I'm just going to say I set it up. But now I'm going to show you some of the little bits and bops that I've put in here already to HRCYED and then talk about the books I've already read. So starting out on the opening page, I covered up the little line where you write your name and I put two stickers, one a black couple and the other one that says Black Girls Read Books. Link her Etsy shop in the description. She is an amazing artist and I love all her stickers. Now this little cat sticker came from another creator on Etsy that I'll also link because I have a black cat named Gabby and I just thought it was appropriate. And then the Radiate Positivity sticker came from this creator and she gives like little freebies when you get bigger stickers like these. So I set that up first. And then in the back, QWERTY has a Ko-fi where you can, you know, buy her coffee or get different things like bookmarks, etc. And I just bent down, picked up the bookmark because it fell out of the reading journal. I got a HRCYED bookmark to commemorate joining the second iteration and also a sticker that I put on the back. From there, I used another cat sticker from the Korean sticker / stationery company I brought a lot of stickers in a journal from earlier in this year to decorate the reading tracker. I have colored in from July 1st down to actually only the 13th. I need to add 2 more days because it's July 15th when I am filming this. And on the top, I put 2025 and 2026 because I'm thinking, unless I lose my mind and join HRCYED 3.0, this journal will be finished when it's finished and I won't try to do the 3rd year. But stay tuned. I might just continue it and get another color of the classic reading journal from the Quirky Cup Collective. The next section that I filled out pretty thoroughly so far is the quick review section. And so far I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books for HRCYED already. And I am planning to finish 1 or 2 more this week, so I will be up to 9. On the sides, like I've done in my other journal, which I will do a mid-year flip through, even though it won't be the mid-year and it won't be posted in July very soon, of my main reading journal. Some of the touches I carried over to this journal was that any 5-star book, I put a gold sticker beside it on the quick review so I can see which books I really loved before I do the deep dives, and if there was any kind of like half percentages, so like a 4.75, a 4.5, because it's a little hard to translate into stars or anything else. And you can see my very poor attempts over here. Finally, while I haven't finished any of the spreads, I have started spreads for my 5-star reads. In the beginning, when I was starting my reading journal in the Sugar and Spice collection that I own, I was really going to only list 5-star reviews in these long review sections. And then I really thought that some books are not 5 stars, but they stay with me a long time. And so I think I'm going to carry that over. And sorry if the camera keeps like tilting. My dogs, my pets, as per usual, are stepping everywhere. And so you're just going to have to live with it. Okay, now to talk about what I've already read for the challenge so we can speed this video along. So the first book I finished for the challenge was There Are Things I Can't Tell You by Edako Mofumofu, which is a BL/yaoi/boys love/ gay romance, if you're not familiar with the terms, and it is centering around two childhood friends who can't admit their feelings for each other for a variety of reasons. This was a 5-star read, and the first book I picked up in July. I actually read it in Kobo Plus and liked it so much that I actually hauled the book in the physical edition. And I was very, very excited about this. Now, I read this book because it had there in the title, because one of the prompts for her cat is coming up with some type of quote, and not in your head, like you're picking a quote that is popular and well known, and reading a book per word in the quote. So for my quote, I picked Where There Is a Woman, There Is Magic by Ntozake Shange, famous poet/playwright/novelist who wrote For Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide / When the Rainbow Is Enough, a famous play that was butchered by Tyler Perry in a movie, and we can talk more about that in a different reaction video. I read For Color Girls back in college, and I was trying to think who is an author that I think would have a banger quote, and of course Miss Shange did. Now, it is actually from her novel Sassafrass, Cypress, and Indigo, which I have never read, and let me know, do you think I should actually just read her book as well for the challenge? I think that would be kind of cool, but I read it, so if you have, let me know, or if you just think it would be cool to try. Now, because my quote has 8 words in it, I have to read 8 books that contain those words. So I've already ticked off there, and I have to find books for the rest of them. Now, I was thinking and playing around with trying something really, really short, so like something famous like Call Me Ishmael, which is the opening to Moby Dick, but I was like, I really wanted a quote that kind of spoke more to me, and that quote did. So that is the first book I read for the challenge. Next up is a lovely shoujo manga, even though it's really not written for young girls since the protagonist is in college, so I'm not really sure how to classify it because it's not technically josei either because the feel is too shoujo. Josei is a Japanese term for basically this type of manga/comics that is written for older women. Enough manga terminology. The second book I read for the challenge is A Sign of Affection by the duo Morishita, which I read for the disability prompts for the challenge. There is Heritage Month challenges sprinkled throughout her cat where you celebrate Black History Month, Disability Pride Month, which happens to be in July, and all different things throughout the year. But I didn't read this book for Disability Pride Month, which is its own separate challenge in the Heritage Month. I read this book because there's also a subset of prompts talking about reading different books that feature different disabilities. And in this book, the heroine is deaf and uses Japanese sign language. So I thought that would be a really easy way to, one, get into a very popular manga. It has an anime adaptation on Crunchyroll right now. And if I do double this up, I can use it for another prompt in her cat, which is reading the novel or comic of adaptations, and for this one I could count it for animation. Next up is a whimsical shoujo romance that definitely made me feel like a little girl, a little fangirl again, which was In the Name of the Mermaid Princess by Yoshino Fumikawa, who wrote the story, and Miya Tashiro, who drew the art, which is super lovely. I didn't talk much about what was A Sign of Affection about, but it really is about a deaf college girl falling in love with a college boy who happens to be a world traveler and speaks multiple languages. And so kind of that dichotomy of him being interested in a language he can't speak, more or less, aka sign language, and her being interested in him because, let's face it, he's a hottie. Well, in this shoujo romance, a second shoujo romance that I read for the prompt, this takes place in a fantasy universe in which people with magical abilities, aka they're born shifters or born mermaids like the princess, are discriminated against and essentially kicked out and exiled from this one nation within the world. And lo and behold, the princess of the nation is a secret mermaid. I feel like this is every 2000 girls girly pop manga. I mean, if you weren't obsessed with H2O, where were you at? You know, like it just felt like my childhood. in the main story of being true to yourself and being who you are despite the forces that might put you down, obviously touched my heart as well. Now, this counted for her cat because there is a variety of prompts featuring spooky creatures, and one of them are merfolk. And so because this featured a mermaid, I counted it for spooky creatures, merfolk. Next is a book that I actually picked up from the library, as you can see, because it has this plastic cover over the cover, and that is Dragonfruit by Makiia Lucier, which I went on her website to figure out how to pronounce her name, because much like, unfortunately, other people, I originally read this as Lucifer, and I was like, what? But it doesn't have the F, and yeah, I don't know why so many people do that, and I do feel very bad for the author because that is not a great way to have your name mixed up. So hopefully I did use that pronunciation guide correctly. Now, this author wrote basically a Pacific Island inspired high fantasy romantasy. It is strictly young adult and very young adult, not that super spicy girl what young adult that is published nowadays. This felt like it was written for a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, heck, maybe even 14, 15. And it was just so magical. I absolutely loved it. It was my second 5-star of the month. I've had 3 5-stars. It's been an excellent reading month. Maybe because I joined the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And I feel super motivated to read books that I just absolutely am obsessed with. That way I'm not DNFing books and making it even harder for myself to complete the challenge. Now, I will be quite honest, this was originally a cover borrow that actually became a cover buy. Yes, I bought the hardback, which has a beautiful gradient. Not sure if you can see it, but it's like rainbow iridescent, like scales, or, you know, mermaid scales, or maybe even dragon scales. Because yes, if the title is not painfully obvious, this book features dragons, and specifically sea dragons. I can't really say much more without giving away some spoilers, because I even guessed the plot twist at the end, which made me like, like it was just really good. But this book counts towards BIPOC author. I think that the author is a native of Guam, which is a Pacific island. But the twist with the BIPOC author prompts for her cat is that you cannot be of the same identity. So I can't count the 50 billion Black authors that I typically read for the challenge, which is going to make it much harder for me, and actually very exciting, because what is a reading challenge that doesn't challenge you? Also, Analeigh and Samatita are kind of another OTP couple, one true pairing couple for me after this, and I so want to be transported to Tamaran. The next 2 books I read were actually art copies, and one, aka the one I'm about to talk about, doesn't come out until 2026, so your girl was winning. Now, some of the prompts for her cat include new releases. So you're supposed to, within 60 days, if I remember, read a new release for every single month. So that means in total, you'll be reading 12 books of straight new releases. And I don't know about you, but I have a absolutely ginormous TBR, both digitally and physically, not even including all the books that are available at my library through the Libby app and physically going there. And so me reading new releases is me reading a new release a year or 2 after it released. And so that is actually going to be pretty darn hard for me, unless I keep scoring books I'm really excited to read, or front-ending books that I buy and making sure I read them in the month I buy them. So it's really going to help me cut down on just buying books because of the cover, because I use Thrift Books book outlet. I'm going to a big hardcover sale here in my state, which is going to have like $1, $2, $3 hardback. So most of my collection is actually used, but even though it's used, a lot of it is unread. And so part of the reason I joined her cat as well is because I'm kind of doing a TBR takedown, and I will talk more about the TBR takedown aspect in 2026, if I'm going to be honest, because I still have roughly 30 to 50 more books to read this year. And so I think it's more realistic to talk about a true TBR takedown on January 1st, 2026, because I'll actually know where my physical TBR stands. Now, after that long explanation, I did not read either of these art copies for the new release prompts. And I can double up and include them for the new release prompts, which is why I did do that whole spiel. But what I actually read these books for were, one, a secret prompt that allowed you to actually knock off 3, not just 2, because you can double up books, but 3 prompts on HRCYED, and also for the prompt on the Even Bigger Rainbow, which are LGBT plus books. Now, I don't know how I keep being approved for NetGalley copies, even though my review ratio on the website is standing at like 1%. I know, I am a menace to society, but these publishers keep giving me books. And I have actually reviewed these books this time around because my goal for next year is to get my NetGalley ratio up to 50%. So stay tuned for that as well. But starting out, I have Forgive Me Not by Mary Costa, who actually wrote a book under, I believe, Marina Costa called Shoestring Theory, that now after finishing this graphic novel by her, I really wished I picked it up at my local romance bookstore. They had it on a discount shelf for like $5, but I couldn't really get a sense of what the book was about from the blurb. I'll be quite honest. I just was like, I don't know if I'll like this. And now I'm like, dang, I should have gotten the book. But in Forgive Me Not, under, I'm assuming, her graphic novel pen name, Mary Costa writes a very like whimsical, I keep using whimsical, but I was reading a lot of whimsical works, which I think that's why I also had my mood lifted as well and gave a lot of 5 stars. In this graphic novel, it is a sapphic, basically fae romance in which this changeling is swapped at birth with a warrior woman called the Folk Slayer, who was transported to the fairy realm while the changeling character Asling grew up as a princess. And I can't say any more than that. I honestly can't say any more than that because I'll spoil the entire book, I'll be quite honest. But I was blown away. Well, I only gave the book a 4 stars. It was because it was so painfully basically predictable, but I think part of the charm is that it is so predictable with a sapphic twist because it is written like a fairy tale. It truly feels like a fairy tale, and the characters are young and naive, and so it felt very real to what their lived experience would be and the type of thinking they would have as 17-year-olds turning 18 that have a much more romanticized view of the world, even in a fantasy world that Marie Costa created. Now, throughout HRCYED, there will be secret prompts every month that if you complete them, you will be able to knock off not 1, not 2, but 3 prompts for 1 book, which will also really help you complete the challenge. Now, the first prompt or secret prompt was read an entire book outside, but you had to read starting July 7th and finishing by July 31st. Now, I read the entirety of Dragonfruit outside. Yeah, the entirety of it. And I even documented it during a vlog, only to realize that because I started it on July 6th, I can't count it for the secret prompt. Because how it works is that even if you started HRCYED early, which would be July 1st for me, that secret prompt, reading an entire book outside, had to have started on the official start date of July 7th. So that's why I was so happy that I got that art copy and I just slammed through that graphic novel in a day, even though it was over 300 pages. So it was a pretty beefy read, even though it's not a traditional novel. Now, I just realized I made a mistake earlier in the video. I talked about the Even Bigger Rainbow in regards to LGBT books, and that's not true. That prompts, like that series of prompts, is actually called the Bigger Queer Alphabet, where you read books in the LGBT category. But I will still be talking about the Even Bigger Rainbow, or the Bigger Rainbow is actually what it's called, because one of the prompts in there is to read a book that has 7 or more colors on it, aka a true rainbow. And what would you guess? Forgive Me Not actually had 7 colors on it. And I was thankful because I didn't want to cheat that prompt, even though I was using it for my bonus prompt because I completed the secret prompt. I really did want the book to actually count, and it did count. So that made me happy. Jumping back to spooky creatures, another spooky creature that you have to read for the challenge is Fae Folk. And what would you guess it? The main character is a type of fae that I won't say because I just caught myself almost saying a spoiler. And the final prompt I used it for was subgenre reads. So we are supposed to pick a subgenre and read, I believe 5 or 6 books was in it. So for example, since I am a romance fanatic, I picked romance, and I used Forgive Me Not as a romantasy within the romance umbrella. Also reading a holiday romance slash maybe Christian romance, it just depends. An Omegaverse romance, an alien romance, a romantasy, which I already ticked off, and finally a contemporary read. And those will all count towards my subgenre prompts. So really excited that I got to knock off 3 prompts with a graphic novel of all things, even though it was on the beefier side, and I am very, very happy that I did. Finally, the 7th book I have completed for HRCYED so far is another arc that's actually coming out on the 22nd of this month, and that is Volatile Memory by Seth Haddon. And thank you so much to Tor.com for giving me early access, as well as the publisher of Forgive Me Not, that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Now, Volatile Memory, I was able to put it on my Kobo because NetGalley is even better than what I used to use it. You can apply for ARC copies from publishers and individual authors at free of charge, obviously, for us, but in exchange, they do expect an honest review. And I was kind of shocked that I got a copy, and not only the ebook copy that you can now send to Kobo. Before, you could only send to Kindle if the publisher allowed it. So Kobo, you up again. Kobo Libra Color, let's go. But I also got the audiobook version that I listened to in the NetGalley app because they don't allow those to be sent to e-devices. Now, oh my goodness, this was my last 5-star read, and heck, I might have another 5-star read. This has been an all-time banger month for reading. No reading slump in these streets right now to start off HRCYED. And this book is so hard to describe. I'm actually stewing over the review right now on how I'm going to phrase it because it's part cyberpunk, it's part space opera, it's part feminine rage story. It's also a trans story, which is what I used the book for, which was counting to the bigger queer alphabet, aka a trans book. It's a sapphic novel. It's revenge. It's corporations. It's everything. It's funny. I actually laughed 3 separate times during this book, but it's also grim, dark, disgusting, obsessive, and quite strangely written in second person. Yeah, it's a lot of things. And the main thing it is about is a woman who is trapped inside an eagle-shaped mask whose consciousness falls in love with a scavenger that finds her on Folon's world, a barren moon wasteland that's covered in snow and crawling with criminals willing to risk it all for the biggest payday of their lives. Yeah, I really can't say enough about it, and I probably will devote a whole vlog just talking about this book. But yeah, that is everything I've read so far for HRCYED. Okay, now moving on to the last segment of my HRCYED announce video, my TBR, aka what's the next book I'm going to read, because it's only July 15th and we're not even 1 month done with the 12-month challenge. Now, technically, Seth Haddon's book could count for 2 prompts, one the trans prompt, but also the new release prompt for July, since it's coming out July 22nd and I've already read it. But I am kind of feeling like maybe counting Lure of the Tides by Analeigh Sbrana, which I got signed along with art because I pre-ordered from Capital Books. Now, I own Lore of the Wilds, and honestly, my relationship with this whole duology is just so everything. Because I originally got the indie published arc from Hear Our Voices, which is a book tour company / review company focused on diverse literature. And I was on a tour for that. That tour got canceled, only to find out Analeigh Sbrana had got Harper Voyager, a major publisher, and of course released Lure of the Tides as a trad pubbed author. I am just so excited for this book. I cannot explain my level of excitement. While I did not give the first book a 5-star, I gave it a 4.5 star. That was mainly because of something I can't say. Stay tuned for my not spoiler-free, very spoilery blog about book 1 and book 2. But I'm just so excited to finally see the ending, and I haven't been this excited about like a new adultish book in a long time, because this is romantasy I crave. This is black romance. This is, heck, why I started this channel and why I became an author myself. So I'm hoping to count this for my July prompt, because I currently have the audiobook from Libby, and I have to return it in like 7 days, and there's 6 people waiting, which means I'm not going to get that book back for months after I lose it. So I think I'm just going to spend Saturday or Sunday and read the entire book cover to cover while listening as well, so I can have an immersive reading experience. I am currently technically reading Countess by Suzan Palumbo, which the ebook doesn't have the cover inside of it. I hate when that happens. I don't know why some authors / publishers won't put the cover inside the ebook, and so I am just going to flash it up on the screen instead. But this is another very strange book to explain. I think because I was in a sci-fi mood, in a screw the system mood, in a feminine rage mood after reading Volatile Memory. And Countess by Suzan Palumbo describes itself as an account of Monte Cristo reimagining, set in space, where a slightly Italian / Caribbean a Caribbean descended space pilot who has gone through discrimination and now is locked away, wrongly accused of a crime, gets her revenge. And so I am technically 2 pages into it right now, and so I'm not really counting it as a read book right now. So maybe let me know once you see this video if I should finish Countess first or Lure of the Tides, or if I shouldn't finish any of these and you have other book recommendations for me. Given the size of my physical collection, we're not seeing 3 more shelves this way as I film this video. And given the fact that I have access to Libby, that gives me tons and tons of books as well. And also given the fact that I own a lot of digital books, I may actually have your book recommendation already, which means you'll help me take down my TBR. So yeah, let me know. Do you have a book recommendation for the rest of my TBR for HRCYED? Do you want to join the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, or did I sufficiently scare you off? Let me know. And finally, are there certain videos you want to see as I do HRCYED? Because it's going to be a mix of a TBR takedown that I'm hoping to start in January 2026, but knowing me, I probably will just start this month because I am impatient. I would love to know how you want me to tackle HRCYED. Do you want me to do more scavenger hunts, which I've been doing on TikTok versus here, but I will be showing you long form videos of me vlogging the scavenger hunts I've done. Do you want me to pick a random color and read only books of that color because there are a bunch of rainbow prompts that I haven't finished yet? I would love to know. So that was 3 questions instead of my usual send off of 1 question. So if you made it this far in the video, what are you waiting for? Join our noble ranks, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a stack of books in the comments if you are overwhelmed by all the questions I have for you. More than anything, I just want to know that I'm not doing this journey alone. So even if you don't plan to join, I hope you stick around as I try to complete the hardest reading challenge you'll and I will ever do. Until next time, royalty, bye!